Before we begin, thank you very much to Sandstorm is the best triple changer smiley face for leaving me a tip over on Ko-fi. Thank you very much for the direct support to the channel. The streak continues. I don't know why, but it's continuing. I am gonna add to this one. There's a lot of comments to get left with these. Usually I don't read them because I don't know if you want them to share, but I think this one's important. As someone who is neurodivergent and tried for years not to be, I love tokusatsu and Transformers, things that are for children. Thanks for the channel. It's a great reminder that on days where everything feels out of control, it's okay to lean into hobbies and enjoy the mental rest. So I understand if you have a neurodivergency that makes you feel different or wrong compared to other people. I assure you, nothing is wrong with you and nothing is wrong with what you like. No matter what, no matter what version of spicy brain you have, what you are into, what you enjoy, there is nothing wrong with it. Do not try to avoid it. Do not try to do not be ashamed of it. Everyone likes something. You like these things. That's fine. And if someone thinks there's a problem with that, that's their hang up. Doesn't have to be yours. It's okay. So yeah, we're here to enjoy ourselves. We're on this channel to, as you said, lean into the things that we enjoy. Maybe they are typically for kids, but there are other things designed for kids that are fun for adults too. And that's all I will go into it so I won't get demonetized, but we will move on to the topic at hand. And tokusatsu was mentioned here, so yeah, we don't do many toku videos anymore just because I don't have the time to keep up these series. But things might change a little bit here. Toei announced the brand new Kamen Rider officially. It is Kamen Rider Zeztz, and I cannot wait to have that pronunciation corrected 100 times before we finally get to hear it in the show. The trademark on this one was super weird. Zeztz, but once we start talking about this, it will make all the sense in the world, and I actually think it's kind of brilliant. But no, the new Kamen Rider is official. So before we begin, let's just kind of a rundown here of where I am in the Kamen Rider world at the moment, because I don't really talk about it anymore. So this is a good chance to give everyone a nice update on exactly what's going on in my world. So I cannot stand Gov. I hate the themes. I hate the suit designs. I understand the story is great. Everyone seems to love the story. I don't care. I cannot take a superhero dressed as a cake seriously. And people are going to go at me for but you really liked Gaim, and that's just fruit. What's the difference? The difference is fruit has other connotations to it. There are other things that you can draw from it. It's food. It's a seed. It's a life source. And that's an element of Gaim's storyline. There is, things like the forbidden fruit from mythology. That is part of the storyline to Gaim that you can draw from. And storyline wise, those were designed as a matter of survival, a substitute for food in a worldwide Armageddon situation. So you can make sense of that. I can't draw any lore from grape gummy candy. I can't do it. So no, I can't take it seriously. I just can't. I hate the designs. I hate the theme. I hate all that. I am very far behind. I watched a good portion of Geats, really liked Geats, never finished Geats. I think the last series I think I finished all the way through was 01. Because then we went into Saber, and I hated Saber. Watched a little bit of Gotchard, watched a little bit of... Oh, why is my brain blanking? Stamper Man. Oh, I can't remember his name offhand, so it's gonna correct me. I'm gonna remember it in 2 minutes anyway. It's gonna bug me that I forgot it offhand. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What matters here is, yeah, I'm not following every single Kamen Rider like I used to. I don't buy every single belt that comes along anymore. I don't follow every single series. Obviously, you haven't heard me talk about it in a long time. So here's your little refresher. I'm mostly out of the game at the moment. I still pay attention to the stuff I like, and I'll still pick up something once in a while if it hits the right little neuron in my brain, but I am very far behind on current stuff. Might change that. So first off, we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to talk about the most important thing to this entire story, and that is the fact that this is simulcasting. This is actually going to be a worldwide Kamen Rider series. This will air for the United States, Canada, Hong Kong, South Korea, Thailand, Taiwan, Vietnam, and the MENA region, which I'm not sure what that is, or if I'm even saying it right, and Japan, of course. So yeah, come September, we're going to have a Kamen Rider series that we can follow live as it airs legally, which means we can openly talk about it and actually share where we're watching it, which is going to be so different. It's going to be so different. Finally, Toei taking a cue out of Tsuburaya's playbook. Ultraman has been doing fantastic in the West. It's been doing a great job of getting a foothold in the West and having successful projects over here because Tsuburaya has been very forward thinking when it comes to how to present their series to a worldwide audience. And we know Toei tried a few years ago. It was a disaster because they had the dumbest rollout plan that I ever saw in my life. Let's have multiple series handled by different companies so there's no consistency to them. Let's put out only 2 episodes of each series and have the worst subtitles we could pay for attached to it. And that is the big concern here. One concern people already have. Is that we're going to get machine translation for the series, or we're going to get AI subtitles. I really hope that is not the case. I have seen people try to do this with Kamen Rider with AI subtitles. It's always looked horrible. No, like if Toei wants to be like real ones here, realize that once upon a time we had a subgroup called TV Nihon that's still around. They don't do Rider anymore, but they're still around, and they did all of this translation week by week for free. And they were really good at it, and they just enjoyed doing it. So hire them on and pay them. And guess what? You probably wouldn't have to pay them much because they were doing it for free before. Now you're just giving them money to keep doing what they do. And I think that would be fantastic. That would be like the coolest thing you could possibly do. That'd be the coolest thing you could possibly do. But I don't expect that. The concern here is I'm sure there's a worry because of the subtitles they provided for those little 2-episode blocks of Kamen Rider they posted to YouTube. But I feel like they got such a blowback that's probably going to be fixed. I really doubt they're actually going to go through with that again, knowing how badly everybody hated it the first time. I have to believe, especially because this seems like they're really putting a lot into this to roll it out worldwide, that this might actually have effort to it. I have to believe that because they want the series to succeed on a global scale. That's how you need to do it. While we're here, we can talk about a few other things, like the fact that our producers are mostly coming from Kamen Rider Gav and Gotchard, so people who have been seasoned in this. I don't have too big of a problem with either of those series. Like I said, I've heard great things about Gav and its action scenes and its writing, so I have no issue there. Gotchard, I think, is a little bit weaker, but I did like what I did see of it, so you know what? I'm going to have some optimism over this crew. No one from Ghost or Saber is involved. I will take that. But we got a few other elements to talk about, but we'll talk about those as we look at the examples here. Look at this suit design. It's familiar, but it's different, right? Because the colors and the pattern is very much Kamen Rider Ichigo. Like with the red bands, like the green for the chest, not the green, it's teal. It's a very specific shade of teal that you associate with the helmet of Ichigo. And now, obviously, it's not completely identical. Obviously, it's doing a lot of its own things, but the suit design is really, really interesting. I like it overall. I like the gigantic lens eyes. I like the shape overall to the body armor. The belt on the chest is weird. Like visually, it's very distinct, and I've already seen where it's like, oh, cool, a Kamen Rider belt that fat guys can wear. Not in a derogatory way, like actually from like large size fans who are going to actually be able to wear a rider belt for once. Um, it's cool, it's different, and it does let them have different visuals, like they don't have to cut to his waist to show him like manipulating the belt or whatever the gadget's gonna be. We know what the gadget's gonna be. It's kind of wild. It looks off though, right? Because it looks like an Ultraman or a Super Sentai design with no belt in the middle. It's so weird to see. To have such familiar shapes and colors going on this design and then just nothing in the waistline. It just makes me wonder if that's going to be the look for this Kamen Rider. I mean, is it going to be a situation of like there's a new belt that adds on for like his mid-grade or final form? Or is this going to be a theme across all the riders from the series where none of them have belts? And it's similar to like other series where you just spot the aesthetic, like that one aspect of the aesthetic that's different, and you hone in on that, like Hibiki's designs, with like all of like the flatter faces with all like the ridge designs forming the shapes. A Hibiki design as soon as you see it. Things like that occur to me. So like something that you can make him pick out of the crowd and go like, okay, those are all from the same show. It's weird, it's wild, it's kind of cool. I think everyone has something to say about the shoes. He does look like he's wearing a pair of Crocs. I'm not going to lie. It's a little bit distracting. I feel like the color balance works. You've got little hits of red going throughout the teal and the black, but you have that big collar and the eyes that are bright red on top. I feel like bringing a lot of some of that extra red to the bottom kind of works for this. It's big red clown shoe kind of looking thing, but I think on a color balance level, it's fine. And it is a Kamen Rider. I do expect his boots to be like a little bit more reinforced. I'm actually imagining the action scenes in this series are going to be nuts because this design doesn't have a whole bunch of clunky armor with a lot of bits hanging off. It's extremely sleek. It's mostly bodysuit. So this is probably going to have some really good action scenes when there's nothing like that getting in the way of the design. Like, the stunt actors got to love it. The stunt actors have to love it. Like, because this is by far, like, the lightest weight Kamen Rider design I've seen in a long time. And it extends to his bike as well. So I like that it's much more closer to, like, a proper motorcycle rather than the dirt bikes we've been getting. It's like halfway between each. But again, Zeztz here, Zeztz, however we end up pronouncing it. He's so Ichigo coded in his design. It's cool to see that it also extends to the bike because the bike is very much, the Cyclone. And the thing about that is that because this is a Kamen Rider they're presenting to the world, going back to have something that's very retro in style, I think is extremely fitting. Like this feels like it's a suit you would say for like an anniversary design, but as something is just like to present what a Kamen Rider is to the West, this also is a really smart design choice. So I like that they're going retro with it. And actually wondering again if there's an aesthetic to none of our riders in this series have a belt. What if all of them are also based off of like classic rider looks? So that has me like really thinking. Also, his suit does this. I really like when suits can do this, but they almost never use it. Forze could do it. Forze had light up elements. Obviously, Fies is an inspiration for like glowing lines throughout a suit. I don't know how often they're going to do it. They never do this often. You know, this is like the show. They do this for like a couple of episodes and then kind of forget about it. But it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat whenever they include it. So, the trailer showed off a lot of scenes like this, where he's in front of this really grand backdrop. So we have this massive pagoda, which in what looks like winter time. And then like moving straight on to like a desert here. And there's a whole bunch of like trippy images throughout it because the theme of the writer is dreams. This is a Kamen Rider who does not fight in the real world. He fights in a dreamscape. And a few things come to mind. One, all the fan art of him fighting Freddy Krueger. That is inevitable. But also, it brings to mind, there's no possible way they can afford to do this, right? Like, this is going to be a CGI background show. Like, they are going to be fighting on a green screen, aren't they? Because if they're going to hop around to different dreamscapes, there's only so much you can do by going back to the same filming locations you always use. So they're going to need green screen to accomplish things like this. Now, it's a dreamscape in storyline, meaning that could actually work, because it's going to add this unreal feeling to the overall visual. And that would actually play into the dreamscape. I don't like the idea of like Kamen Rider going to like green screen filming, but for the theme, I think it could actually enhance it. So this is a rare situation where I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of down. If that's the direction they go, they could be this could just be visuals for the trailer and they do a whole lot of on-set stuff. It depends, because it's dreams. People's dreams can be literally anything, which means every episode could have an extremely different feel to the fight. That's also another element that could be really, really cool. Though the dream aspect does make me wonder how you are actually going to get this guy to interact with like other writers once it's time for crossovers and cameos. It also has me wondering how you're going to well, involving other writers, yeah, but also just like how you gonna add stakes to something that is happening in a dream world? Like what kind of story element can you add in that makes it so that like he has to win his fights in the dreams, or else bad things happen? But then when you get to the finale of the series, like, are you really gonna be able to figure out how to make the entire world at stake because someone's having a nightmare? We'll figure all that out. This might be a case of like he is a full writer in the real world, but he's jumping into dreams, similar to how Wizard entered people's hearts and memories. So it could be that. And it could be a case of like dream worlds coming into the real world so he can fight on both planes. That would make the most sense to me, because like even though like CG and green screen would allow them to do just about anything to the backdrop, that would be more expensive. So they're going to need location filming. They're going to need to be doing this in real life as well. So I kind of feel like it's going to be like more along the lines of Wizard, where he will jump into dreams when needed. But for the most part, like he'll still be fighting in the real world as well. So we'll see. We can talk about the driver. And the driver does look interesting. It's very sleeked down compared to most rider belts that we have had. There's nothing overly complex about it. Again, it just kind of has reminiscent of the original rider belt, with that overall like stretched oval shape to it. Besides that, it's just got like one little piece of teal hanging off of it, which I assume is the activation button. You can see the gimmick here seems to be Gashapon capsules. And if I'm right, it actually looks like the type of like spinning image illusion that some of the toys like this can do, where like if this plugs in and that centerpiece spins, which would again be reminiscent of the original belt, the whole thing isn't going to spin, just the image inside, and the spinning images will have differences to make it look like there's like a mild animation to it or something. That would be a pretty cool gimmick, actually. I'm just guessing here. And I'm guessing here based on the fact that, yes, it looks very Gashapon capsule, but also you can tell that the capsule is flat on the bottom. So there's definitely some kind of mechanic on the bottom side of this ball that plugs into something that the belt itself can do to it. That's where I'm drawing that from. So we will see. I'm super curious how this is going to work. I do like the overall look of the belt. Like I said, it's a little bit, it's very, very sleek, and it's very different. It's low key compared to a lot of belts that we've seen. You know, and again, because the belt strap itself is red. Yeah, I'm still drawing comparisons to Ichigo with this guy. I think that's just going to be a theme throughout his existence. He does look cool overall. I do really like the look of him. I do have one unique concern, and that is I'm eagerly anticipating once September hits, or even just in the next few months, now that the design is public, people will be discovering my VTuber persona, and they will inevitably be asking Magnetar, did you steal design styles from Zeztz? Because we've got the same ab armor thing going on. We've got color running through green armor. We've got vaguely diagonal designs and a center orb on the chest. No, this came up 4 months ago. I debuted mine 4 months earlier. Lawsuit coming to Toei soon. I'm kidding. Which does remind me, however we end up pronouncing Zeztz, remember, he's a writer that fights in dreams. And I'm getting plenty of Z's here. If you actually see the logo, we'll go back and actually take a look at the logo. The prominent thing are the 3 Z's. It's a sleep reference. Okay, so I will say the trailer has an incredibly dramatic tone to it to try and make this new rider look as cool as possible right out of the gate. But there's elements like that to tell me there's still going to be a goofy side to it somewhere, because it is still a kid's show. But we'll see. They might be going for something more dramatic on this one if they're trying to appeal to the West here. But those are my opening thoughts on Kamen Rider Zeztz, whatever this ends up being pronounced as. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you were anticipating him, if you like the design or not. What do you think of the shoes? I'm really curious what people think of the shoes. So there you go. These days, rare Toku video for me, but since this one might be easily accessible, we might be doing more with this one. So, thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time. Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.